welcome again to the Crimson Chronicles podcast. I'm Rick Morton. I've got my co-host Tommy Ford here tonight. We're have a really I think a very interesting episode, and we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about one of the really great eras of Alabama football with one of the most recognizable people, one of the most recognizable voices in all of Crimson Tide history. And so as a Crimson Tide fan, Tommy, I am absolutely ecstatic to get to have this conversation tonight.
Jerry is a great friend and a great ambassador for the University of Alabama, always has been. Jerry most people know, was on 3 SEC championship teams in the mid-'60s, 2 national championship teams, was known for being the tackle eligible that we'll get into in a little while. He was on the radio broadcast team, sideline commentator for 26 years, 71, 72, he was in the booth. And then from 73 to 96 was on the sideline as a reporter. Jerry's been in the financial business for a long time with various companies. He was with UBS Financial from 2007 to 2021. He is now with a partner at Stonegate Investments in the Birmingham area. He is a member of the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame. He's been on the Crimson Tradition Fund Executive Committee. He was president of the A Club, and I had the honor of working with Jerry several years ago in the A Club work. But a great, funny guy, a true community servant. And Jerry, it's just great to have you with us. We are honored.
Well, thank you so much, Tommy. I'm delighted to be here. I look forward to it.
We'll get started. Tell us about Sparta, North Carolina, your background, your high school days, and that phone call from Coach Clem Griska that brought you to the University of Alabama in 1962.
Well, it's interesting to talk about Sparta because Karen and I just got back from Sparta a couple of days ago. We were up there for about a week, and it's an interesting story. And I think, Tommy, the main thing about things in life, at least from my standpoint, is timing is everything. And when I was in Sparta, North Carolina, is Allegheny County, and Allegheny County sits in the northwest corner of North Carolina, right on the Virginia line. And it is the smallest county in the state of North Carolina. It was the smallest county in 1962, and it's the smallest county today. And I'd say now probably I wish I'd gone back and looked and seen what the census was in 1962, but I'd say there was probably maybe 2,500 people that lived in the county, and maybe 700 or so that lived in the city of Sparta. But anyway, Sparta was one of those communities after I just described how small it was. So if you came to Sparta and you were a successful football coach, basketball coach, or baseball coach, you weren't around very long because somebody would come get you. If you could win in Sparta, you could win anywhere else, either North Carolina, or a couple of coaches I had actually ended up in Florida. But anyway, I had 3 football coaches in 4 years. In the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, I had 3 football coaches, and I had 3 basketball coaches. And the last coach that I had, we had pretty good success my freshman and sophomore year. Our junior year was real good, and then the coach left us and took a job at a larger school. So my senior year was not the great year that I had in my junior year, but I had gotten some letters, and couple of people came by. Tennessee came over and took a look at me, and they said I couldn't wear the Southeastern Conference because I was too small. And then so the fast forward to I graduated in 1962. I had been over to Georgetown, Kentucky. And what I was trying to do was get a half basketball scholarship and a half football scholarship. So I rode this Greyhound bus all the way over to Georgetown, and I get off the Greyhound bus. The guy said, "You need to get on." It's about 11 o'clock on a Friday night. He said, "You need to get on the vehicle. We're going to scrimmage in the morning." So what they did, everybody that they brought in, invited in to look at, they wanted them to see them play. So we were not scrimmaged. And so we got through scrimmaging, and the guy said, well, now listen, you need to hurry up and get you some lunch, and because 2:00 you're going to have to scrimmage in basketball. Everybody asked. What's ironic about this, Tom, you probably remember that Davis, the coach's name over there was Davis, who ended up going to Auburn.
Yeah, Bob Davis.
Bob Davis. He was the head coach, basketball coach at Georgetown when I was over there. So anyway, I didn't think that was going to work. And of course, I'm not going to go ahead and say Sonny Smith was my high school basketball coach at Sparta. So, and then of course everybody knows he spent 10 years down at Auburn and coached Charles Barkley. So, and as a matter of fact, I still talk to Sonny. I talked to him last week. I called him from Sparta because he knew all these guys that we played basketball with. But anyway, so that didn't work out. And North Carolina State had sent some information, and they wanted me. They didn't think my grades were good enough. They wanted me to do some work. They wanted me to come to North Carolina State to summer school. And I didn't go. So I didn't have. Bottom line is I didn't have a scholarship. So here it is. Let's say I guess the latter part of June, sometime in July, and my high school football coach went to Raleigh, North Carolina, to a coaching clinic. And Coach Bryant was the keynote speaker at this coaching clinic. And I don't know what happened. I don't know whether there was alcohol involved or whether my high school coach, he was one of those guys, if we got Coach Bryant in the corner somewhere, he probably wouldn't let him out because I'm sure he was just talking 90 miles an hour. Anyway, Coach Bryant, I think to keep him quiet, Coach Bryant said, look, I'll take it. So it comes, my high school coach comes back and says, we were working over at our farm and we were out in the hayfield, and he pulls up and he said, I think I'm going to be surprised if you don't hear from Alabama. Well, about, I don't know, a week or so later, I got a call from Coach Clem Brisker, who was just ended up being a great friend, just a great coach. And I love Coach Brisker to death. But anyway, Coach Brisker told me, he said, I want you to know, he said, this is really a very unusual situation with you. He said, we've never seen you play. We've never seen any film on you. He said, Coach Bryant just come back here and tells me that he wants me to come up to Sparta, North Carolina. He said, I don't have any idea where Sparta, North Carolina is. I said, well, I can tell you how to get here, but it's going to be a long drive. And he said, well, I'm coming. So anyway, the last thing he said was, he said, now listen, this is real important. He said, I just want you to promise me that you won't sign with another Southeastern Conference school till I get up there to talk to you. And I got to thinking that for a second. I said, well, Coach, I promise you I won't sign with another Southeastern Conference school. Because I hadn't heard from many other schools. But I didn't. I just said, no, I won't sign with anybody else. And about, I don't know, it took him forever because the fact that the only interstate there was a little bit of I-85 from Atlanta up to Greenville, South Carolina. But I mean, it's a haul on going Sparta back in the 60s. So anyway, he shows up and my dad was there. I think my dad, after Coach Brisker sat down, he said, well, I just want to tell you, he said, this is highly unusual. I told you again. He said, we haven't seen you play. He said, Coach Bryant just said to come up here that he had told your coach he was going to take you. And I said, well, I'm delighted. And I said, I really like that ring you got on. And he was wearing a 1961 national championship ring. And he said, well, this thing is hard to come by. And I said, well, what is it? And he told me it was a national championship ring. I said, I remember saying, well, I sure would like to have one of those. And he said, well, if you come to Alabama, you might have a chance. So anyway, I think my daddy was there, and I think if my daddy had time, he'd run up to the house and got a suitcase and threw a couple of pair of blue jeans in there, and he sure did let me go back to Coach Briscoe. But so anyway, like I said, this was like in July, so I reported we were in August, and my daddy had gotten sick. My brother actually drove me to Tuscaloosa. And I never will forget. We got down there, and I don't know, it was like a 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, because we'd had to spend the night somewhere on the road. And when I got out of that car, it must have been 110 degrees. And and the humidity was unbelievable, and there was this horrible smell in the air. And I said, "My God, what is it? What is it? What is that I smell?" And my brother, he said, "Listen," he said that you better hope that there's a cool spell blows through here, or a cold spell comes through here, because it's heated. He said, "You're not going to be able to practice in this kind of weather." So anyway, he got in the car, he got my food case, got me out, got me in the Freedman Hall, and he said, "I'm out of here." He said, "I got to get back to cooler weather, because we just had left the mountains of North Carolina, and it was obviously a lot cooler up there." So anyway, I found out later on that smell was going to be in the air quite a bit because it was the paper mill.
Yeah.
And the heat waves never, they came all the time, every summer.
Well, Jerry, the smell ended in the late 70s, I believe, because I certainly smelled it, especially on Sunday nights. For some reason, the smell came down the river from the paper mill to the dorms and everywhere on campus. And Mr. Warner actually closed the business in the late 70s, maybe 1980 or so. But yeah, that was the Gulf States. And yeah. Yeah, but now the heat is still here in August. And okay, Alabama had just won the national championship the year before. You mentioned Coach Griska showing you his ring. Tell us about your arrival to campus, your first practice. You're a running back, right? That's what they signed you as.
I was a 165-pound running back. I was going to go to Alabama and win the Heisman Trophy.
Jerry, what was the role of the freshman in 1962? Did y'all go up against the varsity every day? Did you go have to play against Leroy Jordan? And
yeah. Oh Lord, yeah. I met Leroy early. First day we went out in pads. I think they let the freshmen. I think we worked out in shorts maybe 1 or 2 days. The freshmen the varsity was already. When I got there, they'd already been practicing, because back then, you played early September. I think we played Georgia in early September. But yeah, we went against them, and then of course, all you are basically you're just a blocking dummy, because you're running the opposition plays, and and I was on offense, and I was at halfback, and they called the play, and I bust up through there, and the first thing, Leroy came right across the top of my bridge of my nose, and blood went everywhere. And so the first out, the pass I had the honor of having Leroy Jordan break my nose.
Wow!
And I said, well, I'll be out of practice at least 2 or 3 days. And Coach Goosetree came over and took a couple of cotton swabs and shoved them up in its nostril. Get back in with him.
Oh gosh!
I said,
well. Tell me your first impressions of Coach Bryant when you arrived on campus and got to your first fall practice.
Well, we had a freshman meeting with him, and I was there I think that there were 60. It was 64 or 67 of us.
Wow!
I ought to know that. But they're kids from back then. We had kids from Wisconsin. Obviously in the Southeast, we covered all Southeast, but we also had some guys from up in Wisconsin that came down, but it didn't take long for those guys up north. Most of them didn't stay around too long, primarily because of the heat. It was just. Yeah. But I remember Coach Bryant walking in the room, and all of a sudden it was just deathly quiet. You could hear a pin drop, and he just started. He said, "First thing I want you to do, and when you get back to the dorm, I want you to write your mama a letter." And then he said, look around, see who's on both sides of you, because he said, some of you won't be here 4 years from now.
Yeah.
So, just kind of, but he said, and if he went over the deal about, we're going to we're going to push you. You're going to be disciplined. We're going to ask you to do things that's going to make you a better football player. You're going to have to pay a hell of a price. But if you do everything that we ask you to do, if you do the little things, then you're going to walk out of here a national champion. And that's the gist of the story. I mean, he didn't end there, but he was. You got the message.
Yeah,
and that he was real serious about his business. So that's what I remember about that first meeting with Coach Bryant. And obviously, I didn't have any conversation with Coach Bryant. I didn't go up to him and say, "That's a nice speech, Coach. Looking forward to playing for
Rick." Jerry, what an amazing story and an amazing start. And then, so 1963, you come back in June of 1963. The campus at Alabama is embroiled in controversy, right? That's Governor Wallace and his famous standing in the schoolhouse door and his making a statement on his intention to keep the University of Alabama segregated. What do you remember about that day? Were you there? Did you see it? What was your experience?
I was there. Now, I didn't see the standing in the Governor Wallace standing in the door and nationalization of the guard, because Coach Bryant told everybody, you don't need to be anywhere around Foster Auditorium. You need to be in the dorm. You need to be studying or whatever. So that was where it was. But it was just I didn't ever had. Of course, I was from in the mountains of North Carolina, and I never had seen anything like that. And I didn't really know. I didn't really know. I was just following orders, and I knew if Coach Bryant told you where to be, you better be there. And but now we did have Dan Curley. I took Dan with me. He was ahead of me. He graduated in 1964, but he was a defensive tackle. And I took him up to Sparta with us one summer, and we were up there about a week. And when we came back, we had been instructed to eat at Morrison's cafeteria. Dan and I had an apartment there, and we were both going to summer school. So that's where we didn't have any money, so we got some kind of a discount at Morrison. So we got to Morrison's, and there was a picket line so we didn't pay a bit of attention to it. We just crossed the picket line. It's like I listen, as long as I had Dan with me, I wasn't really worried about anything. But Dan was amazing. Let me just tell you that. So anyway, we go in and we eat, and it was me and Dan and 4 or 5 African Americans, and we're the only people in the restaurant.
Wow!
And when we came out, Dan had a 1952 Ford, and we were in his car, and some of these guys in the picket line followed us, and they were cussing us a little bit and stuff like that. We just kept on walking. We got down to Dan's car, and one of the guys said, "We're going to follow you, and we're going to cut the tires off that car." Dan turned on him, and he said, "You touch this car, and I'll kill you." I'm not behind him. I'm saying, "Yeah, you touch the tires." But we got in the car and got out of there, and that was the end of it. That's the only thing. It was a very, very difficult time.
Yeah.
So like,
right. You were a freshman in 62, and you were redshirted in 63, but obviously you practiced every day, and weren't you moved to fullback that year?
Oh yeah, Lord, I was moved so many times, Tommy. But I know. But just so you know, my claim to fame as a freshman was I caught a touchdown pass in the freshman played 3 games. We played Mississippi State, Tulane, and Auburn. And I caught a touchdown pass from my buddy Steve Sloan. God rest his soul. And that was my only claim to fame on as far as being a halfback. So. Yeah, I did so well at halfback. They moved me to guard. No, they moved me to fullback. They moved me to fullback, 45, and they moved me back. I put on about 10 pounds, and so I was fullback, and then we ran a formation where we actually had a block, what they call a blocking back. So I put on a few more pounds, so they moved me to blocking back. and that didn't work out. And then somebody, I don't know whether it was Pat Dye. Pat thought I might be able to be a rover, which was a linebacker. And I don't know if it was Pat or not, because Pat didn't get there until 60. He didn't get there until 64, 65, I think.
Yeah.
But anyway, somebody had to bring an idea that I might be able to be a linebacker, a rover, which was an outside linebacker. That didn't work out. And so forget what it was, but sometime during that redshirt year, I was moved to guard. And I stayed at guard. Didn't get a lot of playing time in 64, which was the year after my redshirt year. I did play some at guard, played on all the special teams, kicking game and stuff like that. And I got a real bad concussion, and I missed some playing time when I got played around against Mississippi State and the whole Ron J incident where I'm supposed to go down and break up this wedge when on the kickoffs they formed a 3-man wedge with whole Ron J in the middle. And I'm supposed to go down and throw it to feet to take that wedge out. Well, I didn't get down low enough, and whole Ron J hit me right under the chin, and the first thing hit the ground was the back of my head.
Wow.
And Coach Bryant said on his TV show on Sunday, he said, "Well, we hit the sprint, man. You're supposed to go down and break up the wedge." He said, "I think he got kudos."
Oh.
I did. I had another. It was I had 6 or 7 stitches in my lip and another. I don't know what it was. It wasn't a bad concussion, but I just missed a lot of time. I thought all year.
Jerry, out of the games that you remember in 1964, are there any of them that stand out to you?
Well, of course, the Tennessee game out. We went to Knoxville. Of course, Joe was the quarterback, and he was crippled up some because of his knee. But I remember going to Knoxville and beating Tennessee. That was a real game that Coach Bryant really put a lot of emphasis on. And we'd get into that later on. And then I guess the other thing the one I really remember is the Texas game. In the Cartersville where we had the ball on the half-yard line, 1-yard line. It didn't matter. We didn't score. And, all Coach Bryant said about it was when everybody would say, well, Joe scored, or Joe didn't score, Joe scored. But Coach Bryant said, when you're on the 1-yard line, don't let there be any doubt.
Yep. We had Galen and Jackie on, and Galen said we scored.
He did. He said it didn't matter.
Galen said that Joe Namath was on top of it. Yeah.
Well, the score was 21-17 Texas. That's all I know. Wow.
At the end, okay. So you win the national championship.
Yeah. But then, in those days, Tommy, the way Coach Bryant did it, if you didn't litter, you didn't get a ring.
Yeah.
Now, if you win a national championship, they give rings to the janitors. People pick up the laundry. But that was Coach Bryant.
Yeah.
That was Coach Bryant.
Right.
So anyway, then I know we're gonna get around to where so this is a story y'all like. So I'm going out to practice right there at the start of 65 season. I'm a guard, and I mean we're just getting ready to. Let's please win. Make sure. I think I was moved to guard, and I moved to guard to tackle in the spring of 65. Okay. So, and I'm going out to the practice field, and I look up and I see Coach Bryant's about 20 yards in front of me. So I took a wide swath. I always went around. I didn't want to get too close. So I'm about 20 yards down the field. He said, "Hey, Duncan." And so I went back. I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "I'm going to move you to tackle today." He said, "I want you to go down there and see Howard Snellenberger, and you tell Coach Snellenberger that I moved you to tackle and that you are his responsibility." And I said, "Yes, sir." So I turned around and I started running, and he said, "Oh, Duncan." He said, The next time I move, you will be back to Sparta, North Carolina. So I went down. I told Coach Snellenberger. I said, Coach Snellenberger, I said, Coach Bryant told me that he was moving me to tackle today, and that you were my responsibility. And Coach Snellenberger, well, he must be trying to run me off. I said, no, I know he's trying to run me off. So he said, well, I'm going to tell you out there what I'm going to do. I'm going to save both of us. And I mean to tell you I practically lived with Howard Snellenberger for that rest of the spring. And then we came back. I was listed as third string tackle on the start the 65 season in August. And the first day in pads, the first thing you had to do was run a mile an allotted amount of time. So the first string tackle that was in front of me, he didn't make the mile.
Yeah.
And Coach Bryant's rule was, if you didn't make the mile, you didn't get a uniform until you did the mile run. So he quit. He left. The first string tackle left. So all of a sudden, I'm the second string tackle. And so the first day, we had 3 days in short. So the first or second day out in pads, the guy that was in front of me at first team, he blew a knee out.
Wow.
He was gone. All of a sudden, here's old Gary Duncan from Sparta, North Carolina, first string tackle at the University of Alabama. I don't know who was more scared, me or Coach Bryant. But anyway, Coach Snellenberger, he just stayed with me. And here it's worked my trail off, but I learned so much. And he, as you know, he passed away a couple of years ago. But then, you know, man, I'm so excited. We're going to Athens to play Georgia, and man, I'm going to be the Spartan offensive tackle. And lo and behold, we go over there and we're the number one team in the country. I believe it. I believe I'm right about that, Tommy.
Yeah.
We should have been. Well, cause we were. I think we were ranked number one. But anyway, we get beat. That's the bottom line. And we get beat 18-17 on the flea flicker.
Right.
And we got back to Tuscaloosa, and I thought the end of the world was getting ready to. If it wasn't going to happen that Monday night, we practiced, it was going to be happening the next day, because Coach Bryant, Coach Bryant just stayed up on the tower all the time, didn't he? He didn't stay up on the tower when something was wrong. When he was waiting things out, he was on the ground. You wanted him in the tower. You wanted him up there where you could see him. But anyway, it all we broke. But we did. It was tough, and we really, and you know, we really weren't as good as I thought we were. But anyway, and then after that, I'm thinking that's when we put the tackle eligible play in. I think we played Tulane next, and then we played Ole Miss in Birmingham, and that's when we had put this. Coach Bryant came off the tower one day and came over. He said, I've been thinking about this. We're going to put the tackle eligible in. We're going to put it in right now. And so, Coach Snellenberger, we all got, here's what Duncan, here's what you do. Just don't screw this up. And so it was fairly simple the way it worked, but the way it was disguised, Ray Perkins was the flanker out on my side. So when the tackle eligible was on, he lined up off the line, a yard off the line of scrimmage, and Dennis Holman, who was the halfback, but he would always split out some, he lined up on the line. So that made me eligible. And that's how, and you got to be, if you're a defensive back, you're thinking about a lot of things, but you're not thinking about, well, wait a minute, where is that? Is Ray Perkins lined up on the line of scrimmage, or is he at the backfield? What I'm saying?
Are you saying they weren't looking for Jerry Duncan to catch a pass?
No, they weren't. I can promise you that was the last thing on their mind. They were concerned about Perkins and Holman running by them, so.
Yeah.
So it was a great thing because we actually used it against Ole Miss actually the winning drive that we were behind. We were behind 10-0 at the half, and Linebacker won the game 17. Yeah, I think it's 17-16 or 8. Yeah, 17.
Yeah.
Anyway,
17-16.
yeah.
Now, that same year was the Tennessee game in Birmingham when Kenny thought it was third down and he threw it out of bounds on fourth down. And what do you remember about that? Coach Bryant wasn't real happy with that, was he?
Oh my God, it was a nightmare. I mean, it was we fumbled 2 or 3 times inside the 10 going in. We made so many mistakes. It was just we beat Tennessee all over the place, and the score ends up at 7-7, and we're trying to get lined up to kick a field goal. When they said that the scoreboard said third down or the line, what I'm saying, you can hear all kinds of stories after it's over. Bottom line is we had a play called 99 quick, and that was when 99 quick was called, we were going to throw the ball out of bounds and stop the clock because obviously, if the clock stops, you get field goal team on the field. Well,
Right.
we threw it out of bounds on fourth down, so the game was over. And it was you could say, I'll tell you what Coach Bryant said about that game. He said, if I had stayed in Tuscaloosa and kept my staff in Tuscaloosa and just set y'all up here, y'all would have won the game.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
He said he was saying that our bench was disorganized. There was a lot of confusion, and that's where he knocked the door out too. By the way, the dressing room.
Yeah, some manager didn't get back there in time.
It was saying a lot. He didn't get back there, and at Legion Field back then, Rick, they had these 10-foot metal doors because they had so many people that would break in the Legion Field and try to get into the dressing rooms to see if any jerseys or anything were in there. And Coach Bryant, we were all lined up waiting to get in. Here comes Coach Bryant down through there, and I said, "What's wrong?" He said, "Here, road block, Coach. Get your ass out of the way." And he took his shoulder and he hit that door. And that door, it stayed up on one hand holding the door up. I wanted to say, Coach, if you'd have played today, we'd have been better off.
Oh, my goodness.
Probably not the right time to mention that, huh, Jerry?
No.
Oh,
Yeah. No, it was.
Well, Jerry, y'all finished the year, really did not lose another one. You beat Nebraska really bad in the Orange Bowl 39-28. And, the rankings before the bowl games, Michigan State was 10-0, ranked first. Arkansas was 10-0, ranked second. Nebraska was third at 10-0. And we were 8-1-1 and ranked fourth. And in the afternoon, UCLA beat Michigan State 14-12 in the Rose Bowl. LSU beat Arkansas in the Cotton Bowl. So the winner of the Orange Bowl that night would be the national champions. They basically announced that at the game. And, of course, you won 39-28 and for your second national championship in a row.
Man. That Nebraska game was, Nebraska had a great football team. You talk about big, strong guys. They were all cornfield. I'll never will forget the guy I played against. I played against this guy named Walt Barn. He was 6'4", weighed about 240, and he was a load. And Snellenberger, Coach Snellenberger was there, and I let him got by one time. He got by one time, and he didn't knock Sloan down. He just caught his shoulder, and we were throwing the ball from all over the place. So, man, I came back over there to the sideline, and you would have thought that the guy had killed Sloan. You would have thought he knocked him down. And Snellenberger, when Coach Snellenberger got fired up, he would, his eyes would look like sulfur, smoke coming out of his nose, slobbering at the mouth. He got into it, and he told me, he said, if he touches Sloan again, you're gonna be sitting over here with me. So I said, well, I don't want to see what you But anyway, that worked. It all worked out. We got a great game plan. Coach Bryant changed everything up. And I'm sure you remember this too, Tommy. We onside kicked. I think we onside kicked 3 times, and I believe we got all of them.
Wow.
On the onside kick.
Unbelievable.
And they see when we did that kept their defense on the field, and we put some points on the board. And then the second half, it was a real warm, I guess you'd call it warm, it was hot, muggy night down there in Miami, and their defense just by the end of the fourth quarter, old Walt, I had him in my back pocket. Let me just tell you. But anyway, that was a great victory. And I tell you what I really remember was we got back to Tuscaloosa. I know I've heard other stories. He would have his picture made with the offensive line, with the offensive unit. He had his picture. And, they practiced one day that they took all these photographs and he said, Coach, we need to get a picture over here with the offensive unit. He said, I'm not having a picture made with it. I'm going over here with the defense. I'll have my picture made with the defense. And then he's letting us know he didn't think we were very good. I thought we were going to get beat and all that. Yeah, it was just part of Coach Bryant's way of saying. But after it's over, we go to this big fancy country club, and Nebraska's there, and Alabama's there. So as he's introducing all the players, he said, when I call these guys' names out, I want you to stand up in front of the room. And he called out the entire offensive line. Dowdy, Calvert. And he also had, I will get my picture made with this group sometime. So it worked out.
Now, Jerry, what about the 1966 team, the missing ring team? What are your memories of how did you hear about the fact that y'all had finished third behind Notre Dame and Michigan State?
It was after the bowl game. After we Nebraska down there, beat them like a drunk. That Nebraska team, they were not as good as that 65 team we played the year before. They were good, but they weren't up to speed with those guys. And then, but what was so bad about it is we had won the national championship at 65, and I think we were ranked number 1. I don't know how it worked out. I mean, I've heard so many stories about it, and I ought to know, but we beat everybody. We only had really one close game, and that was up at Tennessee, and playing in the mud up there, and we were higher 10-0 at the high, and come back and win the game 11-10. And I don't know. I really and truly think it was. I think it was politics, is what I think it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think that the sports writers, people that vote on that thing, and Alabama won it in 62, and won it again in 64. They won it again in 65. We're not going to give those guys another national championship. And I mean, if you look at it, it just made no sense. Notre Dame didn't even go to a bowl game back then. They were 9-0-1. They played for a tie. They didn't try to win after they got the football back with 3 minutes to go in the game. They ran the damn clock out. And you can't paint me a picture that shows that we didn't deserve that championship. I mean, that 66 team was a good team. I mean, it was at the time, I know in Coach Bryant's book, or I think it was the one that John Underwood did, I think Coach Bryant said it was the greatest team he had ever coached, but that was before he got into the 70s. You know what I'm saying? I think that book was written in the late 60s, early 70s, whatever. But I know one thing, it was, we could move the chains. And Stabler came on, and Stabler was junior that year. And we would really had a good time. And and the other thing, as we got back from after we got back from Miami when we beat Nebraska the first time, there was a note. I don't even know how Coach Bryant got over there and put that note up because it was his handwriting, but it said, "Let's start today." It was on the cafeteria door. "Let's start today. Oh, congratulations on your back-to-back national championships. Let's start today to make it 3 in a row."
Wow.
And we did. And we did. We started that day. Of course, Coach Snellenberger left that year. He went to Los Angeles Rams to be quarterback coach or something. And that Jimmy Sharp took over for him and did a great job. So, but anyway,
Yeah.
it was just, yes, sir.
Well, speaking of Kenny Stabler, tell us about, you played with three of the greatest quarterbacks in Alabama football history: Joe Namath, Steve Sloan, and Kenny Stabler. Tell us about those guys and the impact they had on our teams and just being around them. You got to have some stories about them.
You know, I didn't get to, I played some with Joe, but I wasn't a starter. But I mean, I could tell you that he was just a fierce competitor along with being a great athlete. And when you put those two things together, you've got to, and of course, that 64 year, he was really limited on what he could do after he got. And I think it was North Carolina State game but I mean, he was the guy that you could come in the huddle with him and he would look at you and he'd say, "This is, we're behind, or we've got to have a first down and we're going to get it. And let's go. Let's not wait." I was in that. The example is that Georgia Tech game in the night, I guess that would have been 64, when we were in Atlanta. And that's when Coach Bryant put the helmet on. In 62 over there, they threw all these whiskey bottles and beer bottles there on the sideline. So when we're getting ready to go out and walk around the field for the pre-game stuff, he came back in there. The dressing room with a football helmet and put it on. Around, we're all those Georgia Tech guys were already down there right behind the bench. I've got a picture of that somewhere. It's really really funny. And so, but anyway, Joe, I think we were behind 10-0 or something. Anyway, Joe comes off the bench. Might have been 7, 10 points. I don't know what. Well, anyway, Joe comes off the bench and throws 2 touchdown passes just in 2 consecutive drives. We come back, win the game big, and Joe just got out, did the job,
Wow.
But now Sloan is a completely different guy. Sloan was kind of a silent leader. He didn't do a lot of talking, but if you needed he could run the option play, and he would get hit, and he would stumble. He'd stumble for at least 4 or 5 more yards before. I saw him do it. I said, "Steve, I've never seen anybody that stumbles and more first downs than everything." Yeah. Yes, and that's little voice here. "There's nothing you has got to do what you got to do." But boy, did he out. I mean, Steve Sloan was just one of the greatest people in the world. I mean, he that game that he had, we were talking about that Nebraska game in the 65. He was, I think at one time he and Perkins held some kind of a record for the passing yardage that we were throwing it out of the end zone, and
Wow.
just absolutely, he was fabulous. He was fabulous. Stabler's a different bird. He just wanted to make sure he showed up for the game. We kind of kept an eye on him on Friday nights. Of course, we always went to the Moonway in Tuscaloosa. That's where we moved. That's where we stayed prior to the game on Saturday. So we'd always kind of have a couple guys go by Stabler's room and make sure he was there. But I'm telling you, man, you talk about a guy that could run the option play. I mean, he could run the option play. And he could throw the ball. I saw that. Well, that coach he had he was out in Oakland.
John Madden?
John Madden. John Stabler said that Madden used to say, then the receiver he had was it Blitnikoff? Was he the receiver? And Stabler would always throw the ball. Of course, he was left-handed, and he always threw it on his sideline cut. He was always down and out. And he said that coach who came down there and said, Snake, you really throw up. You really throw that ball good on that sideline and cut down. The Blitnikoff, he said, they can't even step down low. He said, Coach, I'm a low ball thrower and a high ball draper.
Oh boy,
That kind of sums it up, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly right, but he was a good one.
Not only did you play with three of the greatest quarterbacks, not only in Alabama history, but in the history of college football, but arguably, we've talked about your time playing for Coach Bryant. Arguably, you played for one of the greatest coaches, maybe the greatest coach in college football history. What do you think made him tick? What was the secret to Coach Bryant?
Well, I think the will to win and getting players. I